Rahman joins us from New York. He's a fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs. Sir, it's a pleasure. Thank you for your time. So, as we know, the head of Israel's largest trade union, Anan Bar David, has announced the Israeli economy will be shut down on Monday at 6 a.m. And he argues that for a hostage deal to finally happen, quote unquote, only a strike would shock. Do you believe the labor union has the power to influence the course of this war?
Well, it's certainly a welcome step up in the pressure on this government to come to the table in earnest and sign a ceasefire deal that brings this terrible onslaught on Gaza to an end. I'm not sure it has that type of power. I mean, the economy is a major thing. We're seeing more people in the streets and more institutions, Israeli institutions, willing to take action. So that is significant. But this government has been pretty resilient. Netanyahu is a political survivor. His Likud party, which has his fashioned in his image, has been reluctant to abandon him, and his coalition partners need him to stay in power in order to protect their own interests. That's the far right in Israel, who's pursuing their agenda in terms of annexation in the West Bank. That's also the ultra-Orthodox parties that have been with Netanyahu for his entire political career, and who are facing, attacks on their finances from the government, their military exemption, those type of things. So they don't want to see Netanyahu and this government fall. So it's going to be very difficult to push them out simply because there's protests. If the economic pressure is sustained for a very long time, then it becomes more and more difficult.
Interesting. Multiple reports in American media suggest that Prime Minister Netanyahu is extremely worried about these labor union protests, the one particularly coming up tomorrow. If this union protest has no power at all to sway his decisions, why do you think he'd be so worried about it?
No, I said it is significant pressure, and he should be worried about it. Again, when you start attacking the economy or affecting the economy, that affects more and more people that maybe haven't been out in the streets before. So it could snowball into a significant amount of pressure. What I'm saying is, could it force this government to collapse if it doesn't abide and follow a ceasefire agreement? I'm not so sure. People have been predicting the fall of Netanyahu's government since October 7th because of the failures therein. And I always said that I think this government will be more resilient than that. That's all I'm saying. But could it force Netanyahu back to the table to sign a ceasefire agreement? That's possible. He doesn't want to end this war also because people have also been saying that if he ends the war, then he's going to face a political reckoning within Israel and be forced from power. And that's one of the main reasons that he wants to keep this thing going on indefinitely. So we face these various motives and interests.
Omar, you posted on social media in the last hours, quote, the involvement of the Houthis in the ongoing regional crisis has been one of the most surprising elements of the past 10 months, end quote. Has the group's intervention, in your opinion, altered the landscape of the conflicts at all?
Yes, I think it has. I mean, what's interesting is that you're having countries that are, the previous quote unquote Arab-Israeli wars were fought on the borders between Israel and its Arab neighbors. What we've seen now is we haven't seen a real conventional war for 50 years between Israel and its Arab neighbors. But now you have groups aligned with this axis of resistance that are much further from the zone. And you have the Houthis, who are, a non-state actor, engaging directly in this fight, in this war. And what I identified as, I thought, a game changer was when they fired the drone that actually was to hit Tel Aviv a month or two ago. I thought that was a significant game changer. It shows that this group is capable of entering directly into the conflict. So if Iran and Hezbollah are to retaliate against Israel for their strikes, this opens another front of direct assaults that Israel must pay attention to. And whether their power is significant, it's only going to mount, and it's very difficult to deter a group like the Houthis that we've seen before. The U.S. has been striking them. The Saudis and the Emiratis were bombarding them for 8 years, and they've been pretty resilient against that. So I think it's just changing the landscape of what warfare looks like in the region, and this particular war in particular.
Right, Mr. Omar Rahman at Middle East Council. Appreciate your analysis. Thank you.